This here is a cheap guitar by Jet. This here is a Fender, which costs 3 times as much as this, roughly. But it's still a cheap Fender. Cheap guitars have a problem. Hello and welcome to another video with me, Elmo J. Karjalainen. It's good to have you along. Some people say that you get what you pay for. They talk about Chinese rubbish and all sorts of stuff like that. I've been reviewing guitars and amps on this channel for 6 years-ish now, which is a lot of guitars. And cheap guitars, like I said, they have a problem. The problem the cheap guitars have is not that they're bad. The cheap guitars problem is that they're hostages to their reputation, which is a reputation that was built ages ago. Back when I was starting out, cheap guitars were truly horrible. And I remember when Harley Benton first came out, they were an absolute joke. But that's not the case anymore. People still think, based on experiences from 20 years ago, that cheap guitars are absolutely horrible. They're not. Some are, some aren't. But then again, some expensive guitars can be horrible as well. I've heard stories about Gibsons. Some people talk about the resale value of cheap guitars and that you can't get your money back if you sell a cheap guitar. Well, no, but I find it's a weird thing to be thinking about resale value when you buy an instrument. At least when I buy an instrument for myself, aim to keep the instrument. If I someday have to sell it, well, that's as may be. So when it comes to these two guitars, the Fender and this Jet JT 300, I would say that the Jet is better than the Fender. The Fender is actually a quite good guitar, but it's way overpriced compared to this Jet. Now, if you live in the US, you might be experiencing price raises because of tariffs. I don't know how that's going to play out. No one seems to know at the moment. But for the rest of us in the rest of the world, Chinese junk like this can be a very good deal. Now, I'm not saying that you should buy made in China stuff, but some people don't actually have the finances to buy something that's made in Finland, made in Sweden, made in Britain, made in the US. I'm not taking a moral stance at all in terms of made in China, made in Indonesia, made in wherever. Harley Benton guitars, the way that they're so cheap is that they make so many of them. They go straight from the factory to Thomann. They don't really advertise them. So there are no middlemen, no advertisements really. And that's how they keep the prices so low. I have not heard of workers being treated poorly by Harley Benton guitars. And if there are such reports of any company treating workers poorly, then I would not buy the products of that company. But I haven't heard any stories like that, even though I did some digging at one point. So the problem with cheap guitars is they're actually quite good often. Now, like I said, some of them are really bad. This one being one. This is Gear for Music's LA Strat type guitar. It's horrendous. And that is why you should always try before you buy, or make sure you can send it back. If you want some suggestions on good, cheap guitars, there's a video here. Or you can check out the link in the description where if you buy something that way, you support the channel at no extra cost to you, even if you just buy your strings that way. I hope you enjoyed this video. It was a bit of a ramble. Take care. See you. Goodbye.